couple of weeks ago, Razer shocked a lot of people when they announced their brand new spec'd out smartphone that they're calling the Razer Phone. And in today's video, you're gonna be spending a real day in the life with me and this phone as I check out its 120 Hertz display, the dual 12 megapixel cameras, and even that 4,000 milliamp hour battery. And we're gonna see how it all does in the real world. And spoiler alert, it's kinda dope. All right guys, so we're starting our day. This is the front-facing camera, so you know the audio and video quality is what you could expect from here. So we got a few things to do today. I got a couple packages that I need to send out. It's 11 o'clock, we're at 100% battery, and we're just going to see how this thing lasts throughout the day. But first stop, UPS. So what you're looking at, guys, are a bunch of giveaway prizes that I'm finally sending out. It takes a while to get these out sometimes because we're working on videos and it's kind of hard to stop to go to the mail or a post office. So finally we're getting it done. Now one of the special things about this phone is that it has 120 Hertz, but because I'm not playing a game right now, you can actually see the benefit when just going through regular menus. So I got to pull up the addresses for these giveaway prizes. And even in doing that, I get to see the benefit of 120 Hertz. It makes the screen look really smooth whenever I'm navigating through things. I know this isn't the first phone to do it, but I love the fact that there's a fingerprint scanner right on the power button. I feel like this just makes sense. You need to jump into your phone, you just hit the unlock, and boom, you're already in. This is really convenient. I feel like most phones should have it right here on the power button. It just makes sense. This is where it should be. And I figured we'd take a quick look at the phone itself. And I gotta say, in the hand, there's no denying it, this is a pretty big phone. And even though this is a pretty big phone, I feel like Razer gave some nice attention to detail here, like the fingerprint scanner on the side, which is also the power button. You notice it's kind of low. Same thing with the actual volume keys. They're actually low on the screen, so I can access it even though I'm holding the bottom end of the phone. So if I want to access everything, boom. And did you catch those sounds? Listen to this. It makes those nice little sounds whenever you turn on and off the phone. Some people might not be crazy about that, but I actually like the way it sounds. Makes it feel pretty cool. Now, since this is a really big phone, I'm usually pretty uncomfortable with leaving it as is. I'm always scared of dropping it due to it being a bit unwieldy. But this thing has some really good build quality. I actually don't feel compelled to throw a case on here, even though it's a really big phone. I know this thing has some really big bezels at the top and bottom, thanks to those speakers, but I promise you guys, it is so worth it. I'll show you a bit later, but it is so worth it to have those speakers. Now, what's great about this phone is that it is running stock Android with like no bloatware. The only things I think that come on the phone are these little 3 apps right here, which are just a couple of games to demonstrate the abilities of the phone. But that aside, you get a pretty stock version of Android. It's running Android 7.1.1. So it's going to get updated to Android Oreo in the future, but you do get a premium version of Nova Launcher. So for all of you guys who love Nova Launcher, this comes built into the phone. And if you want to keep it super stock, you can go ahead and download the Google Now Launcher if you want. But it's cool that they offer the option of having Nova Launcher since that thing is super customizable. All right guys, so right now we got a little Cookie Monster over here. We're actually going to be headed to a dog park, so I'm going to actually have to find one because there isn't one that's close by here. So time to go find one using the GPS to actually go to the one we find and see how it does. We've got about a 20-minute drive ahead of us. We'll see how much it impacts the battery. What did we say it was at? 87, right?
Yeah, when we started it was 86.
All right, so 86%, 20-minute drive. And that Razer phone is on a wireless charger right now, but unfortunately it doesn't have wireless charging built into it, so it can't take advantage of that feature. But hey, at least we can continue testing the battery without worrying about that. All right, so we made it to the dog park. Cookie's ready to go hang out with some dogs. Let's see here. We have about 83% left.
Nice, so only dropped 3%.
We've got an hour and 30 minutes of screen on time. Very good. So guys, take a look at this place. There are a lot of nice colors here, and this is perfect to try out that rear camera and see what kind of quality we can get here. Let's see if we can get a shot off. Let's see. This is pretty good. I like this big red tree. Awesome. So when you initially zoom in, it looks super blurry, but give it a second and then it loads up. And it looks pretty good. Those clouds, the color, it looks awesome. It looks like it's an HDR shot. I actually didn't have HDR on, but I'm gonna turn it on now. This looks pretty, well, let's see. Okay, yeah, that thing is throwing me off, the fact that you have to really wait for it to load the image clearly. But it looks good. I actually feel like the first image without HDR looks better. Let's try one more. Yeah, this is not a great shot at all. The trees are completely dark. The clouds look pretty cool and all, but it's overexposed a bit. But you can't see these trees at all. That's a bad shot. So I'm noticing a couple of things here as I'm using the camera. The HDR mode doesn't seem to have great dynamic range, if that makes any sense. When I actually turn off HDR, I'm seeing a lot more dynamic range. I'm not sure why or what conditions are causing that, but I'm seeing way better shots with just the regular camera mode. So we are in Petco with Cookie. So chances are we're gonna be here a while. So I might as well, can I sit somewhere? I see chairs. Well, I'm gonna find a nice wall to post up on and maybe watch a YouTube video or something. I said I'd watch a YouTube video, but nothing beats watching some anime. So I got some Dragon Ball Super playing over here. And I gotta tell you guys, the display looks so good. Colors are nice and vibrant. And even though everybody's loving OLED displays right now, this screen still looks awesome. And those speakers, remember I told you the speakers are no joke. So right now, we've got it at about, let's see, 50% here. This is enough to hear it in the store with no problem. If you want to get obnoxious, throw it up to here, and that's being obnoxious. But if I throw it up, this is grounds to get told to turn down the volume. This is loud. All right, guys, so as you can see, it's a bit darker right now, and we're back in the studio because we just have a lot of work to do. It never ends. But just to give you guys an update, it is officially 10:53 p.m. I've been using the phone for regular stuff, social media, making calls, just checking up on NBA scores, and we are at 27% battery life.
Wow, what's the screen on time?
The screen on time, we are looking at 4 hours and 48 minutes.
With 27% left?
With 27% left.
That's insane.
This is killer battery life, guys. Now, I didn't play any games, but one thing I want to mention is that this is with the phone running at 120 Hertz for the screen. So it's still got that buttery smooth setting on. And I've also got it at the max resolution. So full quad HD, 1440p. So that's using the max res and using the 120 Hertz. With those options off, I could probably get even more battery life. But with that aside, we do have to get to the most important part of this phone, and that's the gaming aspect. So let's dive into that. So this game right here is Titanfall Assault. This is one of the games that come preloaded onto the Razer phone. So with this, you know, they kind of want to show off what this phone is capable of. It runs super smoothly, especially at 120 Hertz. Everything looks buttery smooth. And there's so much going on at the same time. You know, with that new Snapdragon processor, it runs really nicely. But when you do have it on higher quality, one thing that I did notice is that the phone tends to get a bit warmer. It's actually quite warm right now. And you can bring down the quality of the game to, you know, kind of help with that, decrease the temperature as well as lower the performance a bit. But I'd rather go all the way. That's the point of this phone. So if it has to get a little hot, that's fine. It's not too hot, it's not uncomfortable, at least not yet. But if you're one of those folks who don't like their phones to get warm, at least you do have that option to decrease the quality. What's great here though is that even at 50%, you're getting some pretty good sound quality, but you turn that up and you can hear a lot of what's going on. All right guys, this right here is probably my favorite racing game when it comes to a smartphone or any mobile device. Ooh, there we go, get out of the way. You too. But like I said guys, this is my favorite in terms of mobile devices. Ooh, come on, don't. Oh, come on. But on the Razer phone, this thing is also really nice because you got some awesome music that you can enjoy with those speakers. And even without it, it's just really, really smooth. On this screen, it looks great. But that's not to say that this game is optimized to work with the Razer phone. It's a smooth experience and it looks great. But Razer is working with a bunch of different game developers to get their games optimized to work on the Razer phone the way they want it to. But I don't think this is one of them. Now, if you're planning on picking up this phone for gaming, I wouldn't expect any kind of Razer phone exclusives that you can find on here. This is not like a console. Like I said, Razer is working with some game developers to make sure that those games are optimized for this phone. I told you guys I saw Final Fantasy 15 redone in chibi form, which should be pretty interesting. I can't wait to see that actually hit this phone. So if you're really big into mobile gaming, I think this phone's gonna deliver a pretty good experience. The Google Play Store has a ton of games that you can take advantage of this phone with. But I am gonna be keeping an eye out to see what games Razer plans to make sure are optimized for this phone. So far, Final Fantasy 15, that's a good way to start. All right guys, so the phone is finally dead. It took all day, like seriously all day. And I checked it right before it died. I got about 5 hours and 57 minutes of screen on time, which is the most I've ever gotten on a phone ever.
We've done a lot of these days.
We've done quite a few, and they usually range in the 4-hour mark. This one got just about 6 hours, which is just amazing. But 4,000 milliamp hours, all day battery life. And not only that, this thing also has Quick Charge 4.0, the first phone to have this feature right out of the box. It's a lot of juice, but let's see how it does. I'll let you guys know how quickly it charges in the wrap up. But battery life, amazing. So you guys got a peek into what it's like to use the phone for a day. And I gotta say guys, overall, I was pleasantly surprised with this phone. I expected a lot because of that spec sheet, but when it comes to actually using it, that's a whole nother ball game. This thing has a great 5.7-inch display, and even though it isn't OLED and everybody's loving OLED right now, I found this to be very nice and vibrant, looked really good, and it's also got those awesome speakers accompanying it. And some people might not be crazy about the bezels, but when you actually listen to this guy in person, you will appreciate it 100%. When I played the Dolby Atmos demo for Ari for the first time, even she was blown away, and I really didn't even expect her to appreciate it, but she did. And of course, gaming on this thing is a very nice experience because you've got that 120 Hertz display that makes it all buttery smooth. And even if you're not a gamer, having 120 Hertz on your screen makes the entire OS look way more smooth and snappy. It's just an overall great experience to just use the phone. And that battery life, whew, best battery life I've ever used, hands down. It is an awesome battery. 4,000 milliamp hours is no joke. Now, even though you might set your phone to 120 Hertz, Razer has software built in so that it has a variable refresh rate. So that means that if you're not playing a game or doing anything intensive on the phone, it'll go down to lower refresh rates so that it's not consuming a lot of your battery. So that helps you to have optimal battery life, even if you want that nice, smooth, buttery refresh rate. And if you want to go nuts and get even more battery life, you can bring down the refresh rate to like 60 Hertz and even bring down the screen resolution to get a little bit more out of the phone. Now, while all that stuff is top notch, where I wasn't too crazy about this phone was with the camera. This thing's got dual 12 megapixel cameras, but they honestly weren't that great. You can get some pretty decent shots out of it for sure if you have the right lighting. In low light shots, I didn't feel like you got anything too spectacular out of it. A lot of photos came out soft. I often dealt with a lot of blurry photos, especially if you have HDR on and you don't have a great lighting situation. Video quality also wasn't really that great for me. So I don't know, camera quality is where this thing takes a hit. A lot of the issues that I found with the camera seem to be software based, and Razer is working on updating their camera app, so we should see some improvements in the future, but as of right now, it isn't the strongest camera in the game. And surprisingly, the front-facing camera produced some really good shots with sunlight, but I found that in low-light shots, the pictures did turn out to be a bit soft. But in terms of a regular during-the-day selfie, Ari gave it her seal of approval. Take her word for it, she's the selfie expert, not me. And it's a fact that the Razer phone is missing a few key features, but if you have the gamer in mind, I can kind of understand the logic behind it. And one of those features is wireless charging, but usually a lot of the phones that we see with wireless charging built in, they usually have a more frail body, while this has a matte black aluminum finish, which gives it quite a bit more durability. And if you're a gamer and you're playing with your phone, you're moving it around a lot, you're going crazy with it, you might drop it or something, you're gonna want a little bit more durability than your standard glass back or something that's a bit more fragile. Also, the fact that this thing comes with Quick Charge 4.0 kind of makes up for that. I was able to get around 50% when charging this for 30 minutes. That is a lot of juice back, and you wouldn't be able to get that with wireless charging, so I kind of get it. It's also missing water and dust resistance, but if you had those features built into it, you'd have to sacrifice on those speakers, and with this being a multimedia device, you're not gonna want to sacrifice on those speakers. After hearing it, you will not want to sacrifice on those speakers. But I asked you guys in my last Razer video if you guys cared more about the speaker or waterproofing, and a lot of you guys chose the speaker, so I think it's a pretty safe bet that they took, and I think it works out well. And the last thing that's missing here is the headphone jack. At first, I couldn't wrap my head around why they would remove it, especially considering gaming headsets are a thing and this is a gaming phone. But when you think about the target audience, mobile gamers, you gotta think about how they're interacting with the phone. And if you're moving the phone around, you're doing all these kind of movements, you might not want a cable dangling on the side of the phone, weighing it down, or just getting in the way. So Bluetooth headphones are the way to go with this guy. And I guess that makes complete sense if you put yourself in the shoes of a mobile gamer. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to make excuses for this phone. It's still missing those features, but at least I can understand some of the logic behind it. And luckily they include an adapter that's supposed to have a 24-bit DAC so that it's giving a little bit more juice to the headphones to give better sound quality. And I tried this against another headphone adapter that I had lying around, and I didn't see a huge difference between the two, maybe slightly, but honestly it wasn't big. I had to really listen in to see the difference. But it does give you the ability to use it, and it's in the box, so can't make any real huge complaints there. But all in all, guys, I think for what Razer was trying to do with this phone, which was build something that's great for gaming and consuming media, for their first try, I think they hit it out of the park. This is a great phone. I personally love it. And considering this phone retails for about $699, I feel like you're getting a lot of bang for your buck when you're getting performance that's equal to a lot of the flagships out there. You're getting stock Android and specs and hardware that lead to tangible results that you can actually experience in the real world. I think this phone is a good buy, guys. Razer is not a sponsor. I'm not getting paid to say this, but if you are looking for a good phone, I think this is one that you should definitely have on your list. But that about wraps it up for this video, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, be the cool guy or girl that gives this video a thumbs up. And of course, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Till then, it's your average consumer. Peace.